Hi, this is Alex from Groovy Entertainment. Today we got another book on record episode to do. Today's book is Apricot and Hopsalot from 1982. Now the A side of the record looks very good, but the B side got a lot of scratches and dents and stuff on it, so it might not play as good. But I'm hoping that there'll be no skipping or nothing, so we can hear the whole story all the way through. So let's get started.
This is your apricot read-along book. Every time you hear this chime, it means it's time to turn the page in your storybook. Now we are ready to begin. Open your book, and we will start the story. And remember, when you hear the chime, turn the page.
This is the story of Apricot and her friend Hopsalot. For Apricot.
Sorry about that, I had it on the wrong speed. Let's try this again.
This is your Apricot read-along book. Every time you hear this chime, it means it's time to turn the page in your storybook. Now we are ready to begin. Open your book, and we will start the story. And remember, when you hear the chime, turn the page. This is the story of Apricot and her friend Hopsalot the rabbit. One warm and sunny afternoon, the two of them were playing in the big meadow that rests at the bottom of Sunday Mountain. The grass was soft, and brightly colored butterflies darted from flower to flower. Floating high overhead, fluffy white clouds drifted across the baby blue sky. It was a perfect day in Strawberry Land. Not at all like a day when anything could possibly go wrong. Apricot and Hopsalot were playing hide-and-go-seek. Apricot would cover her eyes and count to 100. Well, actually, she's not old enough to count to 100 yet, but she did count to 10, at least 10 times. While Apricot was counting, Hopsalot would hop away as quick as a bunny and find a place to hide. He had already hidden behind a big rock at the west end of the meadow and in the daisy patch by the woods. This time, he thought, I'll pick a spot where Apricot will never find me. Apricot waited until her little friend had enough time to hide, and then she began to search for Hopsalot as fast as her little legs would carry her. Now, Hopsalot is small enough to hide almost anywhere, so Apricot had to look very carefully. When she was hiding, Hopsalot always found her right away. But now that it was the rabbit's turn, it wasn't so easy. First, she looked behind the big rock, but she knew just as soon as she did that it was much too obvious a spot. Hopsalot had used that spot before, and no self-respecting bunny would ever hide in the same place twice. Then Apricot had an idea. She was sure that Hopsalot was hiding in the hollow log down by Strawberry Soda Stream. When she got there was no Hopsalot to be found. He had really picked a terrific spot this time. Let's retrace our story and find out where Hopsalot is hiding. As soon as Apricot began counting, Hopsalot began hopping around the meadow, looking for a good hiding place. There's the hollow log, thought Hopsalot. No, that will be the very first place she looks. I've already used the rock and the daisy patch. Hopsalot was beginning to run out of good hiding places. Just then he saw a small hole in the ground by the base of the willow tree. It's a rabbit hole, thought Hopsalot. What a perfect spot for a rabbit to hide. Without a second thought, he jumped down inside the dark rabbit hole and was gone. By now, Apricot had looked for Hopsalot in almost every place she could think of. She was starting to run out of ideas. She decided it was time to give up. She stood in the middle of the meadow and called Hopsalot's name as loudly as she could. But Hopsalot didn't come out from his hiding place. She waited a minute or two, then tried again. Still still her friend didn't come. The sun, which had been high overhead when they began the game, was sinking into the western sky now. Soon it would be dark. Apricot was starting to worry. Deep down inside the rabbit hole, Hopsalot was having a little bit of trouble. He knew his way around most of the rabbit holes in Strawberry Land, but this was one hole he had never seen before. He wandered deeper and deeper into the winding tunnels below the meadow. The tunnels branched off in every direction. Soon, much to his dismay, Hopsalot realized that he was lost. By now, it was almost dark. The sun was setting behind the tall trees, casting dark shadows across the meadow. Poor Apricot had a sad and worried look on her pretty face. Although she was tired, she was not about to give up searching until she found her friend, even if it took all night long. She was looking through the tall grass by the willow tree when she spotted the rabbit hole. As soon as she saw the hole, she realized that it was a perfect spot for a rabbit to hide, just the sort of hiding place that Hopsalot would choose. She got down on her hands and knees and looked down the rabbit hole. It was so dark, she couldn't see a thing. She called out Hopsalot's name as loudly as she could. Her voice echoed down through the long tunnel. Way down inside the rabbit hole, Hopsalot's ears perked up when he heard Apricot's voice. It echoed through the tunnel with a strange ring. And though he tried, he couldn't figure out where the sound was coming from. There it is again, thought the excited rabbit. It sounds as if it's coming from that direction. Hopsalot scurried through the tunnels toward the sound. Suddenly, at the end of a long tunnel, he saw a friendly face. It was Apricot. Hopsalot bounced up out of the spooky tunnel and into Apricot's waiting arms. She was so glad to see her friend, she gave him a big hug and a kiss on the head. Hopsalot had been a naughty rabbit. He should never have picked such a dangerous place to hide. It's always better to pick a spot that's easy to get out of. Down in the tunnel, Hopsalot had gotten very dirty. Apricot decided to take her friend home and give him a nice hot bath. Apricot cradled Hopsalot in her arms and started towards home. She had found her lost friend, and for tonight, she was the happiest kid in Strawberry Land.
So that was Apricot and Hopsalot. And I'm glad the record played the whole thing through with no skipping or nothing. And like I said before in another video, I only saw this TV show maybe once or twice, or maybe 3 times at the most, when I was little in the 80s. I mostly watch other TV shows like Care Bears, Rainbow Bright, stuff like that. So please like, subscribe, share, and comment. And if you've seen this TV show before, leave it in the comment too. And you can tell me if this is the way the TV show went. This was pretty good too, like the second book, like the last book we just played. It was 10 times better than the first book we played. So have a groovy day. And our next book will be A War Made of Love, Care Bears.